But Luka Doncic might be the best player left in these playoffs. Who else could have taken this Mavericks team to the conference finals? Probably nobody. Only Luka. That's who. That's it. Luka's too skilled, too poised, too clutch, too smart, too every damn thing to ever count out. I think we've all learned that by now. Against anybody.
Luka Doncic is too good to be this complicated. 5 All-NBA first teams, a scoring title, a complete franchise on his back.
Bullock, he's driving it, and looks for Finney Smith. It's a loose ball, and Luka picks it up. Some Luka magic!
Only 25 years old. Players like that don't get traded. And then, late on Saturday night in February 2025, Shams Charania dropped a report so impossible that his very next tweet had to begin with 4 words nobody should ever have to write. Yes, this is real. Dallas was trading Luka Doncic to the Los Angeles Lakers. Dallas didn't trade Luka because he couldn't play. They traded him despite the fact that he could. That is the entire story in one contradiction. And it is one of the most explosive, complicated, and controversial decisions in modern NBA history. Luka Doncic is too good to be this complicated, and tonight, we're going to explain exactly why.
Luka drives, Achua up on Luka. Luka has got him in the blender, and the rainbow!
The teenage genius Europe could not contain. Most NBA superstars have an origin story. A struggling neighborhood, a forgotten high school gym, a late blooming junior college season. Luka Doncic had none of that. He didn't have an origin story, he had a resume, before most people his age even had a driver's license. At just 13 years old, the Ljubljana-born prodigy signed with Real Madrid. Not a youth soccer team, not a summer camp, but one of the most elite professional sports organizations on the planet. He was immediately playing basketball against grown men in one of the most serious environments in European sports. While other kids were starting high school, Luka was training alongside world-class professionals who had been playing at the top level for a decade. He didn't just survive it, he thrived. At 16 years, 2 months, and 2 days old, Luka made his professional debut for Real Madrid, becoming the youngest player in the club's history to appear in a competitive game. That record still stands today. By the time Luka turned 19, he had done something almost nobody believed was possible. In the 2017-2018 season, his final year in Europe, he swept every major individual award available.
Doncic, one-on-one with Dobric, step back, three-pointer for the game, you eat that!
EuroLeague MVP, EuroLeague Final Four MVP, Liga ACB MVP, 3 MVP trophies in a single season at 19 years old against fully grown professional athletes who had been playing at the highest level for years. 3 MVPs, 1 season, only 19 years old. That's not a prospect, that's not a project. That's a finished basketball mind operating inside a teenager's body.
With the lay-in, and Luka Doncic with the full corner on the buzzer. Are you kidding me?
And here's the part that should make every NBA team that overthought their 2018 draft board feel genuinely ill. Real Madrid won the EuroLeague title that year, with Luka as the undisputed best player on the floor. He did not arrive in the NBA as an international mystery with a question mark attached. He arrived as a warning. Yet somehow, the Atlanta Hawks selected him 3rd overall in the 2018 NBA draft.
With the 3rd pick in the 2018 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Luka Doncic from Ljubljana, Slovenia, and Real Madrid.
And immediately trade his rights to Dallas in exchange for Trae Young and a future first-round pick. The Hawks wanted a flashier, more American-style point guard. They got Trae Young, who became a star, but they gave away a generational talent who would go on to redefine what a superstar looked like in the modern NBA. Because Luka became professional so young, he learned the game through command. He wasn't raised to fit into systems, he was raised to bend them.
Got it.
There in the corner, Luka! Goes in! How did he do it? How did he do it? That is Luka magic!
And no one in the NBA was ready for what that actually meant. The NBA didn't misjudge Luka because it lacked information. It misjudged him because it couldn't believe a teenager who looked slow and already solved basketball. The Dallas universe and the cost of building around a force of nature. Luka Doncic's rookie season was supposed to be a transition year, a development period, a time for an international teenager to adjust to the pace, physicality, and length of the NBA. Instead, he averaged 21.2 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. He won Rookie of the Year and was unanimously selected to the All-Rookie First Team.
Full set it, 10 left on the shot clock. Defender riding Luka to the basket. Oh, there it goes!
and it only got more terrifying from there. Over the next 5 seasons, Luka earned 5 consecutive All-NBA first-team selections, matching the best players alive. He led the NBA in scoring in the 2023-24 season, averaging 33.9 points per game. He became one of the most efficient high-volume scorers the league had ever seen.
Dinwiddie missed it. Oh, Doncic! A grown man's jam on the follow!
Hunting switches like a predator, controlling pace like a chess grandmaster, passing like a Hall of Fame point guard, and manufacturing offense from angles that shouldn't be physically possible. Dallas didn't build around Luka because they chose to. They built around him because he made every other option feel stupid. The offense became Luka heavy, then Luka dependent. Then, Dallas built a planet around Luka and eventually started complaining about the gravity. But the stat line was never the whole story. To understand what Dallas actually had and what it gave away, you have to understand what Luka looked like in the moments when everything was on the line. The ankle, the deficit, the shot. August 23rd, 2020. Luka had barely walked on Friday. His left ankle was so badly sprained that he was listed as a game-time decision. And the Mavericks? They had no Kristaps Porzingis either, out with a knee injury.
Doncic is down and limping. That left leg, left ankle, left calf. He injured that leg early in the game, in the first game of this series. And he is down in a heap. Boy, cause for concern with that kind of reaction.
Everything pointed to a Clippers blowout. Dallas went down by 21 points in the first half. And then, Luka Doncic played 43 of the most insane minutes in playoff history. With the trainers working on that ankle during every timeout, with the team riding a 21-point deficit, he willed them into overtime, with 43 points, 17 rebounds, and 13 assists. A triple-double that put him in company with Oscar Robertson and Charles Barkley, as the only players to ever drop 40-plus points, 15-plus rebounds, and 10-plus assists in a single playoff game. Then, with 3.7 seconds left in overtime, down 1 point, Luka got the ball at the top of the arc against Reggie Jackson. He dribbled left, crossed back right, created just enough space, and launched a step-back 3 from well beyond the arc.
Doncic pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Doncic wins the game at the buzzer!
Buzzer. Gone. Mavericks win. The Clippers, with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Lou Williams, stood frozen. Dallas head coach Rick Carlisle, not a man known for hyperbole, said afterward, he sees the game in 6G, not 5G. It's another level beyond what most people see it. That was not just a shot. That was the moment the NBA realized Luka didn't need to look athletic to make elite athletes look helpless. But if you thought that was the ceiling, that Luka's game only traveled within the walls of an NBA playoff series, you weren't thinking big enough. Slovenia's first Olympic game ever, Luka's 48-point answer, July 26, 2021. Think about what this moment actually was. Slovenia had never played an Olympic men's basketball game, not once, in the entire history of the sport. This was it, their debut, their first time on the biggest sporting stage in the world. Luka Doncic walked in and dropped 48 points. Before the game was 5 minutes old, he had 15.
Looking for a low-court 3, and Doncic is good.
By halftime, he had 31, and the entire basketball world was checking the Olympic record book. The all-time record was 55 points, set by Brazil's Oscar Schmidt in 1988. Luka was on pace to obliterate it. He finished with 48 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists in a 118-100 blowout, tied for second highest scoring performance in Olympic men's basketball history, and Slovenia's first Olympic win ever. He was launching step-back threes from so far beyond the international arc that one of them came from just inside the center court Olympic logo. Argentina's legend Luis Scola, 5-time Olympian, 41 years old, had seen everything the game had to offer. Just shook his head afterward and said, he was too good, obviously. He was unbelievable. Argentina's head coach Sergio Hernandez went further. For me, I said this 2 years ago, he is the best player in the world, including the NBA. And if there was any doubt in my mind, there is no doubt anymore.
Lastly, Luka Doncic, also pretty good. 48 points in his Olympic debut for Slovenia. Those came against Argentina, caught the attention of their head coach, Sergio Hernandez, who spoke very highly of the 22-year-old. Here is what he said, quote, I said this 2 years ago, he is the best player in the world, including the NBA, and if there was any doubt in my mind, there is no doubt anymore.
When Luka was asked post-game about falling just 7 points short of the Olympic record, his answer was pure Luka. I don't care about records, we gotta win, and that's what we came here for. That performance did not just announce Luka to an Olympic audience. It proved his game had no ceiling, no boundary, no rule set it couldn't dominate. He wasn't just an NBA superstar, he was a global basketball force. And then, 17 months later, he walked into a Tuesday night regular season game in Dallas and did something that had never happened in the entire history of the NBA. The night the stat sheet ran out of room, December 27, 2022. This one defies summary. Just read the line and sit with it. 60 points, 21 rebounds, 10 assists. The first 60-20-10 triple-double in NBA history.
At the other end of the floor, Reggie Bullock has returned to the game. And here's Luka, three-pointer over Julius Randle. Yes, sir! Needed.
Not in the last decade, not in the last 50 years, the first one ever. In the entire recorded history of professional basketball, no one had done what Luka did on that Tuesday night in Dallas. But the stat line doesn't capture the chaos of how it ended. With 33 seconds left in regulation, Dallas was down 9 points. The game was over. Everyone in the building knew it. Everyone watching at home knew it. Luka scored 6 points in the next 25 seconds to get Dallas within 1. Then, fouled with 7.7 seconds left and needing a 3 to tie it. He stepped to the free throw line, intentionally missed the second shot, and watched a prearranged play unfold. JaVale McGee tipping the ball toward Luka, who caught it and hit an 11-foot jumper with 1 second on the clock to tie the game and force overtime. The Mavericks won.
Shocks me about this game.
And that Drew rim, it's still loose. Luka got it back. He did it. He did it. And the improbable comeback by Dallas to tie it with 1 second left.
126 to 121 in OT. Luka scored 7 of their 11 overtime points. Post-game, Luka was asked how he felt. He looked at the camera and said, "I'm tired as hell. I need a recovery beer."
Luka, it's never been done in NBA history. A 60-point, 20-rebound triple-double. 60 points, 20 boards. Never happened, baby. How's it feel right now?
I'm tired as hell.
You can rest later. You're young.
I need a recovery beer.
Mark Cuban, watching from the owner's suite, tweeted, "We are watching greatness. I've never seen anything like that ever." Kevin Garnett typed, "It'll be another statue in Dallas." That game wasn't just a great performance. It was a complete exhibition of everything Luka Doncic is. The scorer, the rebounder, the architect, the closer, the chaos agent who bends the entire game to his will, and somehow makes it look like it was always supposed to end that way. By 2024, Luka had taken Dallas somewhere only Dirk Nowitzki had taken them before, the NBA Finals. Against the Boston Celtics, playing through a right knee sprain, left ankle soreness, and later a thoracic chest contusion, Luka led the entire 2024 postseason in points, rebounds, and assists. Only the second player in history to finish a postseason first in all 3 categories. The Mavericks lost 4-1 to Boston, but Luka had carried them further than anyone thought possible. The question everyone should have been asking was not whether Luka could get Dallas to the promised land. The question was whether Dallas could build around him correctly, and that question had a very complicated answer. Too good to discipline, too complicated to keep. Here is the Luka paradox, stated plainly. If he gives you 35 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists, how much else are you allowed to complain about? The answer in Dallas turned out to be everything. The conditioning story was never about whether Luka was out of shape in the way a bench player is out of shape. It was about whether a franchise could sustain the long-term risk of a supermax investment in a player who had never played more than 70 games in a season since his rookie year, and whose body, by his own admission, required significant off-season work to maintain at elite levels. ESPN reported that Dallas had major concerns about moving forward with Luka, specifically because of those conditioning issues, especially with a Supermax extension worth $345 million looming in the summer of 2025. The defensive question was blunt and fair. In playoff basketball, the other team eventually asks one question: where can we attack you? With Luka on the floor, the answer was often defensively. His offensive load was so massive that Dallas had essentially come to accept the trade-off. But the more Dallas relied on him to carry the offense, the more it cost them on the other end. And then there was the emotional control question, the eye rolls, the referee arguments, the visible frustration that opponents could read and use as fuel. The debate was never whether Luka's competitive fire was real, it was whether it was costing him defensive energy at the exact moments it mattered most.
That's what Luka does, the master of deceleration. And he drains another 3, and the oohs and ahs are being heard here.
Most players are held accountable because they can be replaced. Luka could not be replaced, and that changed everything. When one player becomes so dominant, that the entire franchise revolves around him, an organization faces a question it almost never has to answer. Are we coaching him, managing him, serving him, or surviving him? Luka was not that hard to build around because he was bad at basketball. He was hard to build around because he was so good that every flaw became a franchise-level decision. Luka Doncic is too good to be this complicated, and Dallas finally decided it had seen enough. On the night of February 1st, 2025, everything changed. Dallas traded Luka Doncic, 25 years old, coming off his first finals appearance with 5 consecutive All-NBA first-team selections, to the Los Angeles Lakers in a 3-team deal involving the Utah Jazz. The Lakers sent Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick to Dallas. Davis went to Dallas, Luka went to LA. The basketball world stopped functioning for approximately 24 hours. Mavericks GM Nico Harrison told ESPN, "I believe that defense wins championships. I believe that getting an all-defensive center and an all-NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a much better chance." And Luka, at his Lakers introductory press conference, was asked about Harrison's decision. "That's their decision. I don't know why. That's their decision. So I can't do nothing about it."
That's their decision, so I have no comment on that. They made the decision. I don't know why. But that's their decision, so I can't do nothing about it.
5 words, the most expensive 5 words in Dallas sports history. I don't know why. The debates detonated instantly. Side A, Dallas was ruthlessly right. Conditioning matters. Defense matters. Long-term durability matters. Ball dominance creates roster-building nightmares. The franchise saw warning signs the public refused to accept. Side B, Dallas panicked. You do not trade a 25-year-old generational talent because he gained weight and argued with referees. You do not trade the player who just dragged you to the finals. You fix the body. You build the culture around him. You do not lose the player. Whatever side you're on, consider this. After the trade, after the shock finally settled, Luka Doncic went to work. Reports from multiple outlets described a serious off-season transformation, an overhauled training regimen, a new nutrition and conditioning approach, a body that arrived at Lakers training camp noticeably different. Luka himself told reporters he had taken a huge step with his conditioning. In 2025-26, with the Lakers, he won his 2nd scoring title.
On the switch, Luka's got the big on him, tries the 3, and hits it!
At 33.5 points per game, and made his 6th All-Star team. The most ironic twist in this entire story is this. Dallas may have been right that Luka needed to change, but Dallas may have been catastrophically wrong that trading him was the answer. Because now the Lakers get the version of Luka Dallas always wanted. Still brilliant, still unstoppable, still impossible to guard, but leaner, more serious, more aware of his own mortality, and angrier than he has ever been. There's no more dangerous version of a superstar than the one who has been doubted, disrespected, and driven out of the only NBA home he has ever known. Dallas thought it was escaping the problem. What if Dallas actually created the monster? Maybe Dallas wasn't completely wrong. Maybe the body mattered. Maybe the defense mattered. Maybe it had all become too complicated. But the problem with giving up on a genius is simple. Sometimes the betrayal is a thing that finally sharpens him. Luka Doncic is too good to be this complicated. Now the only question is, did Dallas escape the problem or awaken the monster? If this story blew your mind, smash that like button right now. Drop in the comments, did Dallas make the greatest ruthless move in NBA history or the dumbest superstar trade ever? Subscribe to Rattling the Rim for new NBA documentary breakdowns every single week. And hit that notification bell so you never miss a drop. The debate is just getting started. Rattling the Rim is where the truth shatters the backboard.